what have we been learning about this week? We've been learning about
Apples.
apples, that's right. I'm going to be passing around a part of an apple that I want you to examine with your magnifying glasses, okay? I want you to get a magnifying glass out of the bucket, and I'm gonna pass around a red and a green. A red and a green. Please make sure you only have one magnifying glass. Pass it around. It's going to get your hands a little bit wet, and is that okay?
Yeah. And it's going to get you sticky.
It might get you sticky. What does Miss Frizzle say in Magic School Bus? It's time to get messy and make mistakes. That's right. We're going to get messy and we're going to learn. I'm going to pass these around. Look at them with your magnifying glass. Miss Frizzle in Magic School Bus.
No, it's a seed.
You're going to pass them.
Here's Lexa. Lexa. Me too.
You see the seed here, press?
I would see one. I see two. Can I eat it and see if I can see one?
There's not enough for everyone, so you guys are going to have to share. Pass them around, okay?
I just like it's connected to the inside of the
You're
apple.
right, Molly.
It's
It's connected. The stem goes straight down through the core.
Me too.
Okay?
Because it's connected to the stem.
It is connected, and it hangs on the.
So the stem goes up and it goes down.
That's right. It hangs from the tree.
And we eat an apple. Metal, which means the core is like. Can we eat the apple seeds?
The seeds are inside. Very good.
We eat the apple. The bottom and the top are put in the. We can eat an apple in one.
Abby made an interesting observation. She said that the top is different from the bottom. I wonder why that is. Why did God make the top different?
Because God made it different.
Why? What does the top need to do?
It needs to protect the apple so it doesn't get bruised.
That's true. And what is its main job? The top of the apple is to hang on tight to the
tree.
That's right. That's right. All right. So let's put our apple cores in the bucket. Pass it around. We're going to put the cores in here now that we have examined the cores. Okay, here, have that one.
I want to just look at the green for a minute. I want to see the seed.
A red apple.
Let's eat some apple.
We are going to eat one. Okay, first let's review the parts. The top is the stem, and the outside is the
skin.
So point to your skin. You have skin. God gave people and fruit skin. Judah, why do you think God gave the apple skin?
To protect it, because if it fell off the tree and if it has skin, the skin kind of protects the flesh.
Very good, and the flesh is inside, right? Just like we have flesh. Inside, there are eggs.
And
What are
they?
Seeds. All living things come from seeds or eggs. Very good.
Can we eat an apple?
Okay, we're gonna do a measurement experiment first. I have a green and a red. We did this with water balloons a few days ago. We estimated, we hypothesized about which one weighs more. A hypothesis is a guess.
Let's see which one.
I want you to talk with your hand, not your voice. I want you to talk with your hand to say yes or to say no if you think that the red apple is heavier. Or only hands, no voices. Yes or no that the red apple is heavier. Now what about the green? Do you think the green apple is heavier? Okay, so it seems like most friends think that the red apple is going to be heavier. Let's test it out. We're going to put it in our scale. And the side that goes down
It's heavy.
is heavier. So sometimes you have to look from the side, and if you look from the side, the red is definitely heavier.
Yes.
Who would like to raise their hand to make a hypothesis about how much it weighs? Because we're going to put it on the scale. How many pounds do you think that the red apple weighs? Thank you for raising your hand, Charlie. You think 40 pounds? 42 pounds? Bobby, what do you think? How many pounds?
83.
83 pounds. Wow. Presley, how many pounds do you think this apple is?
60.
Wow, 65. Zion, how many pounds?
125.
125 pounds. Abby, how many pounds do you think this apple is? 20 pounds. Judah?
3.5.
You know what? I think Judah might be close because my whole body only weighs about 110 pounds. And is this apple smaller or larger than me?
Smaller.
Much smaller. So let's put it on the scale and I'm going to tell you what the number is. This apple is not even a whole pound. It's 0.3 pounds. So it's like a third of a pound.
Oh.
Wow. Let's weigh the green. The green apple, it's less. It's only 0.2 pounds. Very, very small. We're going to do sinking and floating.
I think the red will fall.
Do you think, I'm going to put water here.
Yeah, the red will fall.
Okay, do we
The
think
red will float.
that they will both sink, both float, or be different?
Be different.
You think they're going to be different?
Yes.
Zion, why do you think one's going to do something different?
The green one's gonna stay on the floor and the red one's gonna go down because the red one's more heavy.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. That's an interesting hypothesis that the red one's heavier, so Zion thinks it's going to float. Charlie, what's your thought?
I think the red one is going to sink and
Okay, so Charlie thinks the opposite, that this one will sink and this one will float. Bobby, raise your hand if you have a hypothesis to say. Do you have something to share? Okay, what's your thoughts?
So I think the slush inside will keep it up.
Wow, that is interesting. Let's test it. Put it. Judah, what's your thoughts before we put them in?
I think the green apple might sink a little lower if the red will maybe a little. I didn't
Let's try. We're gonna put the green apple in.
It's floating!
And let's see about the red.
The red one floats.
They both float. Thumbs up if you thought that was what was gonna happen.
Me.
Thumbs down if that was not what you thought was gonna happen. Thanks for being honest. You know what? It is okay for your hypothesis to be, Judah, wait one moment. It is okay for your hypothesis to be wrong because sometimes when we're wrong, we do it again and we learn the real answer. Remember the person who invented electricity, Thomas Edison? Did he make a light bulb on the very first time? No, it took him over 1,000 times and he didn't pout and say, oh, I don't know how to make a light bulb. He said, I learned 1,000 ways not to make the light bulb, right? And then he finally learned. Miss Lexa would like you all to put your magnifying glasses in here. So we're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna tell you why they floated. The reason that these apples floated is because apples are 25% or a quarter air. Did you know that?
No.
Inside, an apple is a quarter. So if we cut it into 4 pieces, one whole piece would be air. And air makes things float, just like bubbles in the water. When bubbles float in our fish tank, they come to the top. Air makes things float. It's so interesting. Since the apple is partly made up of air, it is less dense than the water, so the water stays underneath the apple instead of the apple going underneath the water.
What
Yes,
happens
Judah.
if you had that huge apple? My hypothesis was kind of wrong because I thought the green would sink and float, but because I thought it might sink a little more, but so Can we use an apple?
Very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna bring each of you a piece of apple. Put your hand out. You're gonna taste it and you're gonna see how you like it. Okay?
That's good. I'd like to eat this one.
Wait, oh, you already don't want your sauce to try.
Leslie, your stuff. Leslie, someone take this. I'm
Thumbs
still
up if it was sweet. Thumbs up if you thought it was a little bit sour. Just a little bit. I'm gonna give each one of you half of an apple, of the green apple. This is not for eating. We're gonna make both. So each one of you can test your both.
I want to eat it.
Do you think that a slice of apple will float like the whole apple did, or it will sink?
But after we make our bowl, can we eat it? Because the bottom, because anything that has like surface that can float
Okay,
a
put-
lot more than others.
Oh, Bobby, that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, put this toothpick in the top,
I get to get
like
it
a little
to
flag.
be able to float better. Like this?
Put the toothpick in the top like a little flag
Like
for your
this?
boat.
Like this?
however you want to test it. However you want to test your boat.
Like that?
Kind of like a little sailboat. Okay? I am going to pass this to this side and one of these to this side. You're going to set your Charlie, you're going to set your apple in the water and you're going to see if it floats. Raise your hand if you think that the slice of apple is going to sink. Do you think it's going to sink? Or do you think it's going to float? I think it's going to float. All right, go ahead and test it out one at a time, Charlie. Charlie, Miss Lexa said I was passing this one on this side. Take this one out.
But don't put it this way. And then you can eat it. Yeah. It's going to float. Yes, mine's float.
Yours floating, Baker?
It's going to float. I told you.
Okay.
Now I eat it.
No, we're not going to eat it. Not eating it. Miss Lexa will chop up some apples at the end that we can eat. Good.
Because if you do, this will go up.
Right?
Since it's two. Whoa.
Okay, pass it down to Brooklyn. And this one we can pass to Zion.
Look, on this one it's floating. Mine's floating. It came up. Can I have?
Vincent, take yours out.
I don't have mine's floating.
He's still floating.
I can eat it.
These are our building ones. We will eat them at the end. Okay?
Can we eat a green apple at the end?
We will eat them at the end.
And we eat a green apple.
Who thinks that a core would sink?
Me.
Zion, get one of the cores and put it in the bucket and see if it sinks or if it stays on the top.
Can I get one?
Go ahead, Jace, take your apple out just for a second, sweetheart. Test it out.
It's going to sink.
Oh, still floats. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yay. Go.
All right, friends, we're going to see about engineering with apples. Engineering is solving a problem. So I'm going to make a pretend problem. I'm going to pretend that we have a little pet who needs a tower to play on. An apple tower to play on.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how tall we can make our pet tower. But how are we going to get the apples to stay on top of each other? Do we think that they'll just stay by themselves? Maybe a few, but what if we keep putting the apples together? What's going to happen? They're going to fall, right? So we need to think of a way that we can get these apples to stand on top of each other.
What about glue?
Glue is a good idea, but it'll take too long to dry. We need something right now.
I know.
Bobby, you have an idea?
So you stack them into three, then you keep on building them on the top.
Wow, Bobby, a pyramid? Okay, let's
But
try
what
that.
about some toothpicks?
Try that.
What's that?
Hopefully you can help. Vincent,
Wow.
you guys hand them to Bobby. He has a design idea.
But I don't get to hand them to Bobby.
Okay, well, we're testing out
Maybe
Bobby's
all
design.
the green ones should go on. No, I think all the red ones.
Is it working? Let's see, Bobby's idea was to put them together and make like a pyramid type.
I don't know if it's working.
So maybe even if we just bunch them together, they'll be stronger together.
It won't be stronger only if you put Play-Doh.
Oh, Play-Doh's a great idea, Vincent.
Or
Miss Lexa.
toothpicks.
Let Miss Lexa go get Play-Doh while y'all are doing that. We'll test that idea.
Maybe we can connect this. No, this one. No, I have to keep it.
Okay, Vincent has the idea of almost using this like cement. Wow, Vincent.
Hold on, I can.
Okay, try another one.
We can build like a little hole.
Wow.
We can build like a hole.
Okay, I'll hold the tower while you put this on the top.
Oh, I think it won't fall because one. Well, at least I made it good enough.
That was a great idea, Bobby. I like how you thought to bunch them together to make them stronger.
We can build a hole.
Wow, look at the tower, guys. That's pretty cool. Look, this tower, even though the apples aren't perfectly flat, so it's hard for them to stand up, but look how they stick together. And Bobby's idea of bunch It is kind of fancy. Bobby's idea of putting apples together to make a stronger base was an awesome engineering idea as well. You guys have some awesome ideas. Okay, we have one more thing to try before we document this in our journal. Okay, here's the last thing we're gonna do before we document. I'm gonna give each one of you a little handful of apples. I want you to make some sort of cool little creation. This is not an eating creation. We're gonna eat at the end.
Okay.
Okay, not an eating creation.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for
What
eating.
if I made a tower?
I want you to come up with some sort of little
I know how.
some sort of little creation.
No eating.
You're gonna construct something interesting. For this one, we're gonna use the Q-tips, sweet love.
Whoa, Miss Lexa, look, this is it sticks.
Why do you think it's sticking together? The juice. Good thinking, Abby. Super hypothesis. That's called a deduction. When you see something happening and you think, I wonder why this is happening. That's called deducing. See what kind of interesting creations y'all can come up with. This is apple engineering.
You can make it. It's a right. There's no right and wrong.
That's right, Brooklyn. There's no right or wrong. Totally open-ended. You get to use your own brain. You made some weights, some apple weights, Presley. Here's some cute,
Look at me.
not Q-tips. What are they called? Toothpicks.
Look, Miss Lexa. Keep this side up. Miss Lexa, when you cut it, I figured it out when you cut it. This went together.
Oh, it's kind of like an apple puzzle, isn't it? That's cool. What'd you make, Charlie? What'd you make? A boat? That's cool. It looks like an apple sculpture.
Miss Alexa, what do you like me?
Wow, Bobby, that's fancy. What did you create, buddy?
I can make it. He created
A person? Where's the head?
It's right here.
I totally see it. He's got some long arms.
And one little big finger sticking out of his tongue. It smells gross.
You think so? I kind of like how apples smell.
It smells good.
I do like it.
Yeah, it smells good. When it smells, when people touch it, it smells yuck. Look at that made. An apple tower. Hey, I'm coming over to this side. What you doing over here, guys? I'm making a coat. Look what I made. Look what I made. Then I don't want to go straight up. I gotta go on.
Oh, that's all right. Is it a rainbow?
It's already done. I got off this huge leg.
So cool. You know what's awesome? That there's no right or wrong, and if it breaks, is that okay?
Yeah.
We have to go back and do some more research and design. Wow. Just a second, and really carefully come by. Over here, I'm gonna have Mr. Chris video you this. Bobby and Vincent. I just need Bobby. Just real quick for a shot, okay? Put the juice here. First, let me test this out.
I said no fair. Did this say did it work?
It says, did it work? Yes or no?
Did this say did it work?
Uh-huh.
Just throw this box. I made a
What did you document?
huge one.
What did you document?
I made an M. Miss Lexa, does this say yes? Yes. That was slow. I can put that back. On accident, an apple was rolling away. So I'm putting it back. Done.